3. I think taking off the table is very good. Taking away the Lee Sin, interesting enough, you kind of force Karmine Corp into a position where they need to take away that Viego now.
All of them.
Otherwise, you're going to be handing over that priority and also pinching the jungle for, I think, the smart
Important to remember that Wukong is still an
man.
option here, and Karmine Corp, they sort of double down and they say, hey, you want to take one OP champion? We've still got a couple up our sleeve. Lucian is a champion that we've seen banned very frequently. I don't think we've seen too many games from him just yet at the start of the season, but that champion has got through. Wukong's got through. Viego's got through. There are a lot of these target bans from GameWard, which has left open a lot of the OP picks from the current meta stage. 113, a very prolific Lee Sin player, getting that band away from him certainly makes sense. But now GameWard, they've got to make that decision. It was going to be a jungler. It just depended on which one, and Wukong certainly fits that bill.
Big talking point for me here. We see it a lot in more of the eastern regions. With this Wukong pick, you like to go for the Viego in those sort of regions because it offers a lot of 1-2, a lot of skirmish potential in that early game. I'm expecting them to take it on this rotation, potentially pair it up with the AD carry as well. It'd be interesting to see whether they go in a different direction, potentially Khan as well. That's been a highly contested pick so far in the competition. It's going to be the case.
Get it locked in, and they can just go for the double up here. It
Mm.
certainly makes sense that Zaya Rakan as an answer to Wukong was what we saw from one of the games yesterday when somebody locked in a very dive-oriented jungler, and then you just insta-lock the Zaya instead. It's a very prolific bot lane duo. They can get away with sustaining themselves in a 2 versus 2, potentially even able to get away from some ganks that would look to be played by Akabane. But instead, go for the good old bait and switch here. It's the classic isolate Ezreal, stick him on his island, and Pantera going to have that ability to continue to roam. Was really
Lucian.
prolific at that last time and certainly gets away with it.
Yeah, you're locking this Lucian. The good thing about this Lucian is you can pivot towards the mid lane. I arguably think it's a bit better in the top side. You can flex it towards that place. Lucian doesn't need Nami to function. It does enjoy it a lot, though. And it'd be interesting to see in terms of if there's any of the safer blinds that Carmine Corp opts in for later, like a Gnar. It can get bullied out by a Lucian. But they are going to lock the Lucian Nami. You kind of do need the Nami, but you do need the Lucian for Nami, not the other way around. So that has pretty much cemented that bot lane duo. In response, though, Carmine Corp, I'm expecting to see them lock in a potential jungle. Kind of need to take that Viego here, IMO, otherwise it gets pinched in the second ban phase.
Yeah, this should just be Viego pretty much 9 times out of 10, unless they have a different plan to go for something else. And now we have both of our solo lanes started to get picked up and think about where they're going to be going towards. With
Yeah.
we've already seen a little glimpse. Checo lad hovered the Olaf, quite a little bit of a tribute thrown out to Cabo and just saying, hey, you know what? We know that you've got this up your sleeve. Last time round, Carmine Corp, when they had this, they took away the Tryndamere and they took away the Camille. And that's set up for their Olaf pick that was, you made a great point to me off air that it wasn't blind because they banned these 2 champions that had set up for the Olaf pick in general.
Yeah, I think it
This
was
time round,
Tryndamere and
not going to
Camille that they
be.
took away, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Going to be banning these safe mid blinds. Mid counters, they probably got an idea of what they want to pick. I'm expecting to see them opt in for this R4 blind mid and then allow the rest of the Game Award composition to be more rounded out and they can respond for a potential counter pick for Cabochard on
Ooh.
R5.
If we think about Saken's champion pool, last in the first game of the season, they got LeBlanc Rise taken away from them because Saken
Mm,
was so prolific at these champions. He can go for one of these 2 once again. They're setting up for those picks. They're setting up to get one of those potentially on the board. They've already got a roaming support. They've got Ezreal that can be left alone. This is once again setting up for Carmine Corp's style of play toward Cabo. Get him ahead if they can get one of these roaming mids. Get LeBlanc, get Rise on the board. That is going to be fairly standard for Carmine.
indeed. I think another thing to note is for Game Ward having this Lucian army, I think it does need to be heavily catered towards. You don't want to pick high intense resource solo lanes potentially because otherwise it's going to direct attention and pressure out from that side of the map. You probably want a mid that can outsource pressure and then move towards that bot side, a high roaming style. So it's going to be interesting to see what they pick up here. The blind mid lane that we were expecting, probably going to be the Rise we spoke about. It was taken away from Saken yesterday. He's going to have his chance to play it today. And very exciting drops.
Yeah, and then the question is what do GameWard have as their answer? Obviously, so far they've got a very good skirmish composition. They've got some nice synergy in the bot lane to go for fairly aggressive plays early doors. And then you have to think about what their answer for mid, what their answer for top is going to be to see if they want to facilitate that. You imagine that they're going to go for a fairly weak top laner that can sustain it on its own. The Scion stands out as something that you could probably just opt into for Melonic and think, okay,
Yeah.
leave it up there on its own and go through the paces in the bot side of the map. So we're going to enable that as well. going to be quite nice at trying to engage in those fights down bot side too.
Yeah, you're probably looking for your safer blinds here for Melonic, probably the Scion. Um, it's gonna be interesting to see what he gets in eventually. Could be the Gnar as well, obviously a very safe blind. I hate the
And
suspense here he's created.
if
Just lock a
if they
champ,
go
man.
for exactly if they're going for that, no, they're still deciding, right? This is that time when you're like, oh,
Mm,
what fits, works well, what are we missing from our composition?
gonna be that Scion.
Yeah, exactly. Makes a lot of sense. Fairly hard to bully out, and you can sustain most top lane matchups. And then this is now where Carmine Corp have to decide what are we going to look to dive with because their entire composition has been set up to enable a Cabo Shard carry. And they did it in game number 1 of the season. They're going to probably look to do it once more again here. How are they going to elect to try and take down this big tank in that top side of the Rift?
Ooh, it's
Beautiful.
gonna be the Darius. And into a Scion, it's very good. You sort of the Scion until he reaches that level 6 mark doesn't really have many tools. If you get ghosted on, you can get that passive stacking up very quickly. It can lead to some very brutal swinging affairs and pendulums in terms of the shift in that top lane matchup. It's going to be very much for me. You've got Ezreal again for Reckless. He's going to be on this island, and Terra's going to be very much playing for this level 3 towards mid lane. And then once the mid lane is enabled through some of these early skirmishes, we're going to be seeing how this top lane matchup gets impacted because this is how Carmine Corp wants to break open the game through this top side.
Very, very carbon copy for what we tended to see from Karmine Corp throughout the entirety of Spring Split as well. Leave Reckless on the island, set Antero up to Roman. You've got a really strong pushing mid laner that you can move up to that top side with. Get that Darius snowballing fairly early on, and there's not particularly too many ways for them to deal with it. This composition from GameWard is very low range.
But in contrast, although you're seeing this Reckless being on this island, he is going to get to that point where he gets to the precipice where he's doing a lot of damage. In contrast, and on the flip side, Lucian Nami or to play for, they need to try and crack open what is quite a stalwart defense style from Ezreal Rakan. You have a lot of escapes.
Mhm.
The E, Rakan's able to get out. Can they crack open the game through bot side? Going to be difficult, but it's all to see. You're going to be seeing the Viego potentially looking to cover the top side. You're going to be seeing the Wukong maybe pathing to the top side, pathing to the bot side, sorry. What kind of split map can we have? What kind of cross mapping can GameWard do to acquiesce some of the disadvantages they might be facing in that top side?
I think it might be quite smart for them to look for that split map that you talk about. They can potentially stop 113 from making so many plays up in the top side if they try and split the map in that fashion.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. Think important to reiterate there. We spoke about how this Viego had such high priority. Obviously, comes through as well. The Wukong, obviously being a champion that we didn't see a lot of on day one. It was 100% pick ban rate. I'm pretty sure, and the trend is continuing today. We're seeing why this champion is so highly contested. It's very cookie cutter. It splits into these comps very well, and it's going to provide a lot of utility, I think, for the composition. But like we said, very important that they get the ball rolling in the bot lane. Less important that Carmine Corp gets the ball rolling in any sort of direction. I feel like they have more directions to play in, which suits their sort of style.
Yeah, and well, there's only one way to really find out. We have got the game pretty much ready to go, so we're going to load onto the Rift for game number 3.
And we didn't leave you for very long. I did promise that it was only a break, or rather, Rude Dude did. Sorry to keep you waiting, but we are going to be descending onto the Rift for what is my anticipated match of the day. Seeing Carmine Corp come back for their second game, seeing GameWard after a very impressive individual performance from Checo Lad. Can they come up against the Titans of Europe in their second game, trying to round out this week 1? What are we thinking, Mr. Rude Dude?
Well, already they're going fairly early on for some aggressive style of pathing down toward the bot side, but game world, they're ready.
Wukong's not here is important to note. They're kind of very,
Ooh.
very confident in holding their position there. Wukong was obviously up to the top side here. Akabane looking for an early ward onto that red buff potentially, but some early aggression in terms of the positioning. I like
And that's a
the
smart check.
yeah.
From Reckless, right? If you don't check that brush right there, you're walking into a decimating smash that hits all 5 people. That is devastation for Carmine Corp in the early game. So you don't want to be doing that at level 1. Really nice to see Reckless just with that presence of mind and going, hey, let's make sure that we don't get absolutely wham-bammed by a Scion Q. And, they don't.
Yeah, wham bam, thank you, man.
Exactly.
And it's going to be pretty standard to what we were Anticipating, interesting enough, 113 probably going to be going for this solo start on the red buff. Looking like Sion is going to opt in for that leash. Pretty standard path for the course. Sion already knows that the matchup's going to be relatively difficult. Actually, completely eat my words. He does move towards that lane there. It's going to be a solo start. Moving towards the bot side of the map. This does mean that they are going to culminate in a bit of an entourage in that bot side. How do you see that playing out, Rude Dude?
I think that early on, I mean, this entire laning phase is just Lucian Nami should win pretty much throughout the entirety of it. They've got level one, level two, level three, all priority. The key really for Inax is making sure that he can dodge out on the knock up from the Rakan. If you get away from that, then you pretty much hands down win the trade. There's always that world where you can use Ezreal to poke out the Lucian before that range starts to get before Lucian starts to close that range. But that's a quite a hard task if you're playing around those minions nicely because Inax can also use the wave to poke out at Reckless as well.
I completely agree with you. Wukong obviously coming into the meta recently. It's actually got a deceptively pretty good clear, but it's a heavy trade there. Hantera, this is the level 2 power spike. You can't go in like that. Gets completely chunked out there. Has to flash away. Look away for just a second, focusing on the jungle matchup. And they're able to really turn the tides there. It's going to mean that Wukong gets to this bot side. There's going to be no flash available for Hantera, which could spell disaster in about a minute or so.
Yeah, and importantly, this gives priority over to Akabana. If he wants to go for an engage into the jungle, his bot lane's going to be able to roam over first. Hantera, level 2, didn't scale the battle dance, has not got a way out to safety, having taken just Q plus W so far. This is exactly what Akabana is going to be looking to utilize now. We've got Camilius already roaming up. Inax looking as well to potentially make his way over here, and this should just be a give over.
He tried to go in for it, doesn't quite manage to find it. Taking a lot of damage here. Akabana can't quite manage to find much more. 113 tried to get a little cheeky smite steal there. Almost walks away with a death on his tally, but going to be able to get the Gromp in consolidation, or consolation rather. And yeah, we spoke about how important it was for them to be able to transition from the bot side. Already, the bot lane has paid dividends for the jungle matchup.
Really good by GameWard thus far. We expected KC Karmine Corp to make their presence felt on that top side of the rift, and with 113 passing down toward that bot lane, he was playing a more protector style role to make sure that his bot lane didn't get outright slammed through the early stages. Instead, ends up losing his blue buff, and now with that slight, well, not really tempo, he got the tempo advantage off the fact that he got gutted his jungle, so he gets up to that top side a little bit faster, likely going to be able to take that crab. And as well as all this, we can see Melonic's wave starting to slowly push away from him. The timing on these plays for Carmine Corp really could be better to set up for their attempts on the top side. Want to draw your attention to the minimap as well. Hantera, similar to last game, has hit level 3, abandoned spot lane. He's already in the middle of he's already heading toward mid. Could potentially look for a top lane play.
Yeah, I mean, Hantera, he's a player. He likes to accelerate the rest of the map with this level 3 roam. It might be a bit more difficult onto the Zoe. Chekalad obviously has the flash available, but even getting that summer advantage. But Reckless goes down almost immediately there. This is the problem here with what we talked about. Reckless is going to be left on an island to accommodate this level 3 roam style. He gets left, he walks up slightly too far, and Reckless is taken out by this Lucian Nami combo here. And that's going to mean this wave gets crashed in. It's a massive blow for Carmine Corp's game plan.
And this was always going to be the other side of the coin. We know that Carmine Corp love to play toward this top side, love to enable Cabo Shard to succeed. Unfortunately, this time GameWard have recognized once again what their plan is and have drafted accordingly. You're playing up against Carmine Corp, you know they're going to play toward top side. You pick a very strong bot side duo, and they can punish Reckless getting left alone.
Checolad's gone on a nice little adventure here. Goes and pops a bubble through a wall. Seen by quite a few wards. How does that? How does Scuttle Crab vision work? If you walk around it, you're still seeing, right?
Yeah, there's no way of getting through the river without getting seen.
I'm really displaying the fact that I'm truly the play-by-play caster in this and not the color. Cabochard looking for an aggressive trade here. Not going to stack too much of the passive there, but it's a nice little way of getting the wave in there. It's going to get his reset. Obviously, got on the CS advantage that we would be expecting to see from him so far.
Yeah, you can really look to bully out a Scion in the laning phase. You even managed to find a recall window as well. Was sat there with the long sword advantage, and that's really important for a Darius when taking that ghost.
I completely agree. It's going to be the case that both teams circling around this first dragon now. The Wukong obviously having the move on it thus far. Bottom wave is going to be priority advantage to Carmine Court. Whether they want to transition this into the dragon here is going to be a question for the next few seconds or so. Rude Dude, what is the game plan for GameWard? How do they move this aggression forwards?
They need to continually look for these trades, making sure that if they're in a 2v2 that they're taking the trade smartly. Obviously, you don't want to be just fighting willy-nilly and end up getting bad trades and losing out and losing that advantage. But this could be fairly dangerous for Karmine Corp. You mentioned that they had the prio, but the 4v4 should go in favor of GameWard. They have level 6 on the Zoe. That's a good sort of tool for her to be enabled in these fights, where Rise level 6, it's exclusively for mobility.
Yeah, you can see there, just purely based off of presence, they were able to dissuade the dragon attempt there. It's going to send Viego packing back to the base, going towards that top side. And I like this in terms of your trading tempo downwards. For Game Award, I think it's really good. You're able to surmount this lead. It's going to get us to a point where this Rift Herald is really the first question answered and asked of this game. Is it going to be the case that Hantera manages to get some XP from the mid lane and transition into it? But in terms of how the story of bot lane goes, we talk about how bot lane normally ends up transitioning pressure for Rift Herald. Akabane,
Ooh.
he's onto the red here. He's gonna have the smite available. He'll be pressuring 113 out here. Conqueror is stacked. He's coming very
Still
low.
has clone.
No one's able to help. The smite comes down. 113 goes very low. Can he get the red buff? 113 is gonna have to flash over the wall. Akabane goes over. Can he find it? He's gone so low. Disaster for Akabane. 113 gets it. You've bitten off a slightly too much there, Akabane. Tries to find the advantage. The smites were traded off equally at the end there. But it's just slightly too much. Just be happy with the flash there.
And they've done so much in the early stages, and now this is going to hemorrhage. It's going to bleed over into this top lane. Carbo Shard is going to have free push. Melonic needs to cede control of the wave, and they're going to get another free resets here. Carbo gets another wave crashed into the turret, a chance to find another free reset. Good from Checolad immediately down to the bot lane. Wants to try and make a play on the cross side of the map.
Yeah, it's a really good cross-mapping from him. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to find much. We spoke about how important it was for the bot lane to be the ones opening this game. They managed to do so, generated that prio in the early game, which then got a slight lead for Akabane. To see him throw it away in such a way is really not great for the game plan of Game Award. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they can transition this towards a potential Dragon, potential Rift Herald. The prio is again in the top side. We're seeing a reset here. Where does the bot lane go off the reset?
And they don't reset. The answer, they stop them. Well, we'll have to find out a little bit. Seiken given over his blue buff. 113 currently completely on vision. I think it's going to be a deploy back to bot lane for Camilius and Inax. They can get this Rift Herald on the top side fairly free with the knowledge that with the knowledge that 113 is down in that bot lane. Unless they're just going to go for a complete swap. The reason you would do this is to alleviate Melonic and stop him from having a pretty tough time up there, but it's worth mentioning, he's actually up in levels. The CS disparity isn't detrimental enough for us to say, okay, Cabo's now this unstoppable monster. And what they can do with this is potentially look to try and set up for a shutdown more of Cabo Shard. But what they've actually done is hovered toward the top side. Now they're going back toward that bot lane, and nothing really has actually changed.
Yeah, but we talked about it in draft. Safety of the Scion Blind, as we see Karmine Corp responding with the Dragon here. It's expected cross-map play. Answer to the Rift Herald. The safety of the Scion Blind is there's a lot of lanes that you can get bullied out of, but you're kind of fine with it in terms of going down a lot of gold. You still build into that mega tank status that you need and crave so much for your identity of your team composition, and that seems to be the case thus far in that lane.
And with that obviously being successful thus far, got himself a lot of flat stats to begin with, plated steel caps. I mean, tier 2 boots just in general are always really useful, always just really efficient to get. The issue with them being that they delay your mythic item. So you've got this nice little window where you've got the plated steel caps, and now we're going to see a little bit of a curve back in Cabo Shard's favor, where he's likely to have a mythic to no mythic advantage in 5 minutes or so. And then the game starts to potentially explode open a little bit more. 113 ahead in experience due to that early invade from Akban that didn't really go the way that he'd have wanted. And what Karmine Corp did manage to get is that Drake down on the bot side. They secured themselves the first Hex Tech 1 of the day. And they're going to look toward potentially that early Soul. Cloud coming up next means that it's going to be one of those more prevalent Souls that we like to see.
Yeah, I like a Cloud Soul being removed from it. It's one of the for me, it's one of the lesser exciting souls. I don't know how you feel about that. I like to see explosive stuff, you know, Mountain, Infernal.
I think Cloud gets a bad rep in terms of sort of excitement. It's definitely not exciting, but it does open up the map for more map moves as well, right? If we think about it from the
You're talking about the Rift. I like the Rift. The Rift.
Yeah. The Rift itself is really good, and then also the Cloud Soul itself does get a lot of value for everybody, essentially. It's not one of those dependent on champions anymore. Everybody benefits from movement speed, right?
Yeah, completely agree with you on that point. You know, I'm willing to acquiesce slightly. Maybe I'm being a bit too tough on the Cloud Soul. Cabochard able to find that E there. Right at the end of Melonic's Q range is going to mean a nice little trade. You're starting to see, like, it's difficult for Cabochard to really break through the force that is Melonic. I feel like maybe some more resources needed to be invested into this top side and start in terms of getting it going. That CS lead has been able to be garnered and leveraged, but whether or not it's going to translate into much remains to be seen. I think once you reach that level 11 mark on Darius, that's a real pinnacle. But moving
That's when you
forward,
start to have just insane amounts of true damage that
yeah,
comes through if you can stack 5 on your ulti. I mean, it's still not quite there yet for Cabochard, and I think you're quite right. What we've seen from Karmine Corp in seasons gone by is their ability to play toward top side and facilitate Cabochard. This time around, it's not particularly been the case. It's GameWard who have stopped that through having a very strong bot lane duo, but worth mentioning in that aspect as well, that Inax is actually now down in CS, despite the fact that Reckless went down in the level 3, level 4 window that we saw him get solo or 2v2 killed. He's been able to close that CS gap back up and is now pretty much back to level in that aspect. Is going to maybe lose his turret here if Inax and Akabane can do enough damage off the initial chunk, but so far so good.
yeah, I like this Herald adaptation. I think they've realized it's going to be difficult to get one that gets a lot of usage out of the mid lane. I think Akabane moving towards the bot side to get some of these plates just before they fall in about a minute 30 or so is good. It means that Inax and Camilleus can continue to do their job of pressuring Reckless on this island. Shekalad can get caught out here. Might have to flash. Not quite, though. Finds a nice little angle on a bubble in return. He's out.
Maybe we might have liked to see at least the ghost bend there. I think that if you hit that route, Checo may be forced to go for a flash off the back of the engage, but could now have seen the issues with why they didn't go for it. GameWard quite happy to collapse and go for a bit of a skirmish, even if it's not the skirmish itself. They were willing to go there and protect their mid laner.
Yeah, completely with you on that one. It's going to be the case that we're ramping up now for this second dragon. The vision control is very much in the favor of Karmine Corp, and you can see them moving around as a 4-man unit now, trying to get that more and more secured. How difficult is it going to be now? Because we spoke about how these early skirmishes with the 4-man unit, the Lucian Nami, they're obviously not getting the massive lead that we would have hoped. Obviously, did get that early kill. Is it now the case that Karmine Corp can move forward and contest some of these objectives in an even manner?
It's going to be still fairly difficult for them. They've not hit mythic items crucially for Reckless just yet, and if he wants to get back out onto the map, he can have to base now to be there in time, and I think that you can see that perfectly with Chekolad and Akabane both taking their resets right now. Really nicely synced up by GameWard. The majority of them have all got their resets in at roughly the same time, and they're going to be out onto the map faster than Karmine Corp in that aspect. Something that's going to be fairly important to remember when we're looking at this next objective is that Melonic has got the teleport versus Cabochard's Ghost, so if they look to try and take a fight around this dragon, Karmine Corp always have to be cognizant that they're going to be at a numbers disadvantage unless Cabo does what it looks like he may be doing and starts to move down right now.
Yeah, I like this from Cabo. Gets the wave in, means that he does manage to get to this objective before. Although he might get lost in his way and start to go for that enemy blue buff, it's not the case. He's laser focused for this objective. He'll be able to help transition some priority through the mid lane first, and then hopefully move towards the objective.
And so importantly at these points, looking around these objectives, Zoe has a lot of onus on her to make plays happen. Those bubbles can be truly terrifying. I mean, Rex getting caught here. I think he's okay.
Should be. Going to be a chunk of damage, though. Has to heal, though.
I think the heal was necessary, but it's good to get his HP up for this impending fight. Remember, Sion doesn't actually need to use his TP because Melonic coming through right now. Ezreal has hit his Mythic, Reckless has that, and Gale Force ready for Inax as well.
Yeah, the utility of the Nami means that True Shot Barrage has a little bit yet less usefulness there. Both teams encircling each other. Mid wave is going to be picked up by Cabochard here. It looks like GameWard having to turn on this Shekolad. Finding it in this fight means that Reckless can't really get into this fight now. It should be a free dragon for GameWard. Seiken goes forward, though. He's trying to find it off on the side here. What can Cabochard do? It's going to be the dragon going down. Melonic is soaking up a lot. Cabochard is in Ghost, but they find him on the side. He's going to be getting stunned up. Lucian wave. Nami wave comes out. Akabane goes quite low down in clone form, but he's not going to get taken out. That is going to be Cabochard. Taken out by Melonic there. They get the dragon. They get the kill as well, and it's a big victory for GameWard.
Oh, they need to be careful here. Actually, Drowsy hits. Ignite ready.
Tethering wonderfully here. What an individual performance once again. We spoke about how he was able to really pull his team through a lot of these team fights, and Chekolad so far finding pick after pick. He gets the heal from Reckless. He gets the flash afterwards, which means he can't play the fight. He also gets the kill here. What a great performance from him individually.
Taken may look for the play on Inax, not going to step too close. But I'm so glad I mentioned it, right? You look at Zoe around these neutral objectives, that's when she has her Hail Mary plays and absolutely nails Reckless twice in quick succession. That paddle star takes Reckless to flash away. A little bit of a missed culling there by Inax, but that doesn't particularly matter. Checo does a great job, and if Reckless is higher HP, then that's going to be much scarier. And I think that this top side fight, I was looking at this and thinking, wow, dashing into Cabo like that's a bit aggressive, but Sion just there in time to stop any chain damage coming through. And for Hantero and 113, they burn pretty much everything onto the clone of the Wukong. Really nice to see Akabane able to get out to safety, and then Checo steps forward here. He's down a level on Seiken, and
so well.
Dash over the wall is just too much.
He plays with the ranges so well, absolutely just gliding in and out with that passive movement speed, able to take out 113 there. He thinks he can land a stun on him. Just incredible from Checo Lad, just showing absolutely twinkle toes, I think we have to call him after this game.
That's, yeah, that's definitely somewhere up there. I big fan of when Zoe can just kill me with air.
That's the flash away here, though. An aggressive engagement, Minax. I wanted to shout out, especially, we didn't get to talk about it in the replay. You kind of mentioned it. I think the ability to turn off the Cabochard there before he's going to be stacking up the Conqueror, but Hantera gets caught out, has to dash over the wall here. Chekalad is primed. Chekalad goes for it. He lands it onto Reckless. That's going to be the R2 from Akabane. Chekalad finds it again onto Reckless. He has your number saved in the contact book. And Chekalad is primed, the assassin with the bubbles.
Really good play this far from Chekolad. I expect this to continue throughout the rest of the game. He's had a stellar opening, and the question is, how can they facilitate this Zoe best? We talked about it last game. Take away the mid lane tier 1 turret. That's what this Rift Herald is going to facilitate. Chekolad will be completely unlocked on the map to make plays happen. We get this Herald based off the fact that they got Reckless taken down. I need to just be a little careful to make sure that Seikon 113 don't go for any cheeky steals here. That eye is open, so not a chance. Okay.
Right there, obviously don't have the vision. It would be a gamble going over. I think the important thing to note is you put Reckless on an island when you lock this Ezreal. The thing about putting a player on an island is eventually you have to reconcile that island and put it back onto the team. How can he come back into the team now that the not really the conditions needing to happen whereby Hantera is moving around the map? Is there a way for Reckless to find a way back and be useful in this game?
Yeah, I think that one thing that Karmine Corp do really well is funnel in Reckless's gold, or that Reckless maybe just himself just doesn't miss CS, right? We talked about how he's somehow back even off the back of being 0-2. Wherever there's farm, Reckless is there. He's ready to collect and ready to pick up on the majority of it. So that's a good way for him to get back into the game and have those powerful items, powerful team fights. The issue is, it doesn't matter how far ahead you are, really, when you're getting nailed by bubbles, nailed by these paddle stars that are going to chunk you to, 30-50% of your HP.
A lot of damage again from Chekolad. He basically just one-shots. Oh my word. With that Sorks and Ludens now, with no MR statistics, apart from actually, he has Mercs. Jesus, he's done that through Mercs.
Alternator is a very nice item as well for Zoe. Stacks on the Dark Seal as well. This could just be the Checo show. So far, he's done a very good job. 80% kill participation, the most on the team, and he just looks to break open this tier 1 with that Rift Herald, and they can go more.
Doing so much damage. Reckless has to heal again once again. 113 is going to be blocking up a lot of that culling, but it is the turrets in the mid lane getting culled. Cabochard's going to be off on the side here. Has the Ghost available, whether he can find the flank or not. But for me, looks to be the case that he's going to be walking away here. Chekalad does a lot of damage on the side there. Ooh, he's burning down there. Cabochard's in here. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but he's going to get kited out here. Chekalad does the Q damage. One more E will do it. Flash forward to secure it and make sure the Q damage, Q heal rather, doesn't come through from them. Some great synergies existing between the players on GameWard right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Cabochard just ghosting forward there, doesn't have the support of his team to back him up. Goes in 1v4, 1v5 there, and can't make his way out to safety. Really nice capitalization by GameWard. They get 2 turrets, and this is that Hail Mary play that Karmine Corp are kind of forced into here. Go for the Baron, and they don't have vision on this right now. There are blue pings going down. Karmine Corp have been spotted by the blue ward. They have to back away immediately. And now they lose out on another set of plays that they can make. That top lane tier 1 turret is going begging really for GameWard. It's the one that they haven't taken on the outside of the Rift just yet.
Yeah, it's a bit overzealous from Karmine Corp there. I can understand why you feel like at this point utility is starting to kick in, and your utility of your win condition might be becoming harder and harder to achieve. But you are essentially looking for a big purple worm in a haystack there. Very telegraphed. GameWard had the response to it. They're going to pick up that second dragon as well. And
I mean, that's just what they're after, right? We talked about the bot side pressure that we were expecting from GameWard. Getting those 2 dragons now certainly stands to reason, particularly when they've got Checo pumping out so much damage and controlling neutral spaces so very well. The early Drake that Karmine Corp were able to secure is a bit of a saving grace for them right now, because otherwise they'd be staring down Infernal Soul Point up against a Zoe who's, really ramping up the damage. That's not something that you want to be willing to give away all that easily.
That's that Shadow Flame now, obviously. Going to be a little bit less effective, obviously, because of all the mercs that have been picked up. I think it's a real testament to the performance that Checolad is having, being solo AP pretty much in this composition, if you don't count the Nami, and having 3 merc treads being picked up against him. He's having an absolute, completely roller coaster of a performance.
Okay, Inox burns the cleanse there.
Roller coaster is the wrong
necessary.
word. Roller coaster is the wrong word. It's not up and down. It's been all up. What's the word I'm looking for, rude dude? Checolad's performance.
Incredible.
Incredible.
I know
Incredible.
you're looking for a different word. It's fine. Okay.
Karmine goes in here onto Cabashard. He's going to get chunked out almost immediately. And that's going to be so much damage coming down to Inax with the Nami buff here. 1-1-3's on the side here. W's out of the Nami ult. Saken's trying to find something on the side. Checolad forward. Can he get the angle through the wall? That's the ignite, and that's the electrocute as well. Checolad, take a bow. He says to Saken. He tries to get the bubble down, has to flash away here. Operating in so much thin margins here. Melonic goes in. Checolad getting taken out on the side here. It's a big block from Melonic. Can they find it? E comes down. That is going to be Checolad getting taken out here. Saken has been forsaken, and they managed to get another kill. It's 3 kills moving towards the Baron now. Potentially the tier 1 afterwards as well.
Reckless can try to poke at this, but it looks like he's going to go for the tier 1 turret instead. A massive fight on the top side of Summoner's Rift. Karmine Corp once again falling down. And it's largely off the back of Checo finding these picks, finding these engagements. This time round, it was actually Akabane who makes the play, finds Pantera, who's a bit too overextended, and then unfortunately it's Cabashard that has to pay for his sins. Reckless is here, Pantera too. I don't think there's anything to be had.
Have to see here. It's going to be the case. I think they all just walk out. Can't do enough damage yet. Doesn't have that item threshold just yet. Ramping towards it, but right now he is just going to have to wave goodbye as GameWard descend back into their base. Smiles on their faces. The Baron secured. Moving towards that dragon in the next 2 minutes. Rude dude, and it is very much the case that they have a stranglehold on this game so far.
Exactly. They're going to be heading toward just complete domination of the side lanes, I imagine. They took the 2 turrets in the mid lane before they get to the base. There's so much gold out on the map to claim, and yeah, here we go. Akabane starting up the fight. It's Cabashard that has to go down and sort of fall there. 1-1-3 gets Realm warped in, and unfortunately, just too far gone. Paddlestar from downtown does a lot of the work, and then Sheko able to just, use that spell thief passive, use the extra electrocute plus ignite damage to take that kill. And you almost think that he's going to get away here, but Saken pass nicely, and Sheko going forward there causes issues.
Right back into the action is Melonic going down to Cabashard. Not exactly the turn of events we wanted, straight out of pause. This is going to mean that Lucian and Army are hailing down towards this mid lane. They are potentially going to be able to get a lot of pressure. You see Reckless has gone very, very low there in that exchange. We're also moving towards this top lane. It's going to be Inax and Camilius moving towards this top tier 2, opening up the map a little bit more, but one of them does have to come back and answer Darius at some point.
I really like this play from Karmine Corp. This is exactly what you look to see up against a team that, with their Baron is looking to capitalize on the map. You knew that they were going to try and deploy across 2 side lanes, and all they do is just pick somebody off when they move towards it. Sion maybe thinking that he's too tanky to get taken down. 2 members are there, and the Darius still has his killing of tanks capability, and they don't lose anything in the mid lane either. This is really well played for Karmine Corp so far, off the back of that lost Baron.
Yeah, it's big for Karmine Corp here to get this tier 2 in the bot side of the map. Means a little bit more gold in the pocket of some of these carries. As you see, they are pretty much... every single player for Karmine Corp, although the kill deficit and gold deficit is very much existent, they're all at around 10 CS a minute or so, and I think that means that when they start getting towards these 3 item marks, for example, we see Saken is it that 3 item mark, they're going to start really hurting.
Yeah, as much as all of those kills are going to be giving over gold, normally, if you're CSing well, we could see this gold lead be a 10k deficit. It's not this time. Hantera going to get spotted, that flank angle removed.
Flank angle has been removed, going to have to go and fishing further afield for any potential flanks that he might want. It's difficult for Karmine Corp to find their way into this, it feels for me.
It is. They still have the issue of Zoe around objectives, and when they've got so much control of vision, they can just poke bubbles everywhere.
They found a lot of damage onto Melonic, though. He's going to have to ult out.
Away.
That's a primary engage tool taken away here, and they're going to move straight towards the mid lane. I think it's going to be the case they try and look for maybe 2 turrets here, catch them off the position. Checolad trying to fish for something. They take the dragon, should be a tier 1 turret taken. Can they move towards the tier 2 is the question.
Yeah, they can. They're going to get this as well. Reckless, with the attack speed that you get from Ezreal, with the ability to W onto turrets, you do enough damage here to take these away. This is so far really good stuff, actually, from Karmine Corp up against this Baron. They go down to Soul Point, but I think that the Baron power play is probably negative.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot of gold being gained. I mean, a few minutes or so, 5 minutes or so, it was around a 7k gold lead. It's only gone down to about 3k now. A lot of this late game scaling, you talk about this Darius when it gets to the level 16 mark, able to run over a lot of people on the side, have that resistance to stats, can't really get one shot and kite it in the way that it has, especially if it has Ghost. Saken's going to be putting out a lot of damage. Reckless appearing to reach that precipice of destruction that he's known for farming up, getting to that point. Whether or not he can be the man for Karmine Corp this game is another question. The GameWard's starting to take their foot off the pedal a little bit, at least I feel like we need another fight where Chocolate really puts the nails in the coffin, so to speak, of Karmine Corp. But Karmine Corp, they've awoken in the coffin so far, showing some signs of life.
They've had a really good 5 minute spout. Since they lost that Baron, it has been a very dominant display from Karmine, despite the deficit they're at. Pulling comes down, and that's just going to be a little bit of poke onto 113. Now the siege has happened, 5v5. This is where Zoe's going to shine. This is where Chocolate will be able to make the statement and make the game-winning plays if they're going to be able to happen on this bot side of the rift. Get this tier 2. It's a nice little injection of gold and exactly what they want for a Drake, for a Baron fight.
You need to block for him, but this is the thing that I'm talking about.
The damage,
check out over the wall! You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Here comes the Rise ult. It's going to be Sion ulting away there. It's big. He just basically went over this. This was the Zoe example of Icarus. Flew too close to the sun of the enemy team here. I wanted to point out to you some of the resistance is being picked up in regards to the Seraph's Embrace. Cabochard reading these MR spikes with the Mercs with that Negatron cloak as well means that this Zoe is having less impact, especially when it optimized for that Shadow Flame early. We're starting to get to a point where he needs to find these primary targets like the Ezreal, otherwise he's not having as much utility as he has previously in the game.
Now, you're quite right here that the Zoe is starting to find more and more difficult angles to play through. The damage from Karmine Corp is starting to stack up. They could get caught though here. Reckless is not about.
Reckless is not about here. Inax, look at him. Look at the engage from Akabane. It's massive. R2 comes in here and Terra tries to find a counter engage. There's a lot of damage.
Going huge.
He's in here. Saken is big in the back line here. What can he find as they come out of stasis? Cabochard tries to find some space for him. Saken is going to get taken out there.
Not enough.
He said, look at Inax. He does so much to kite around. Dancing around on ice here is Inax. The Baron is about to spawn in around 40 seconds or so. And where Karmine Corp looked like they might be trying to find a way back in this game, Inax and Akabane come up absolutely clutch in this fight.
Really nice stuff from the GameWard bot lane, like you mentioned. Their ability to stop engages, their ability to dash away from any sort of danger. A crucial Nami wave comes through and just keeps Inax alive. I think that it interrupts Huntera by just enough to get that Lucian out to safety. And it was a 4v4 down on the bot side. Reckless just not there for the fight. And GameWard don't know that they had a ward, that they'd seen him here, that they didn't think that he would be about, but they capitalized on it without their hyper-fed mid laner. It's the rest of the team that steps up when it was needed. They secure the Baron, and after a 5-minute bout of play that Karmine Corp had done such a good job at getting themselves back into the game, they falter at what could potentially be that final hurdle.
The no now rude dude is that soul being available in 80 seconds or so. With that Baron, they can transition a lot of priority in the mid and bot lane. And it's going to be a bit more difficult for Karmine Corp to respond. Look at this fight here. It's a massive engage outside of vision for Akabane. It means that 113 doesn't have any ability to impact this fight. Inax comes so low here. Camilius in stasis here. He dashes away and Saken can't quite find it. Cabochard is getting fighted around massively here. It means that Saken can't quite manage to take out these crucial picks onto Inax and Camilius.
It's just so slippery, the bot lane. It's so difficult to get a hold of Inax when he's got Gale Force, got Relentless Pursuit, had Flash as well for that fight. And now with that Baron, now they're going to look to try and siege. First Baron was to secure gold. Second Baron is to hopefully secure some base objectives. Let's see if they can break open the base with this push. Big wave coming in through the mid lane now. And they've got the Zoe ready, poised, primed to find the poke.
Pantera is trying to set up on a flank here, but it's going to be difficult for him to get in. There's so much space being gained. Akabane, important to note, has this GA third now. It's going to mean that any sort of pick is kind of dissuaded from the side of Karmine Corp. Chocolate goes in so aggressively here. Rise ult, he might have made a similar mistake to how he did before. He goes into Zhonya's here. It's a massive Lucian wave. The tides are raw. The chances of Karmine Corp in this game dissuading by the second as the tears wipe down.
Quadra!
Inax with the Quadra. Can he find the pentakill? Reckless running away now. There's going to be a lot of damage. He's getting stunned up here. Fighting from the cues of Reckless is going to mean instead of the pentakill, you are going to be gifted with the rather bountiful boon of a potential game win here. It would be nice to see our first pentakill of the LFL summer. That's not going to be happening, unfortunately.
Well, it might still happen. We've got 10 seconds before. Oh, no, my 5 seconds. Don't worry about it. Melonic is just too big a health pool to get through right now. Reckless just has no chance.
Yeah, massive. We talked about the domination, the champions of Europe, Karmine Corp, how they needed to kind of consolidate through a 2-0 victory. It's not looking like it's going to be the case here. GameWard come out with a very impressive week for week 1. The 2-0 start over Karmine Corp, the reigning champions of Europe. What a game from them.
Really nice stuff from GameWard. This is a team that were not expected to come out and 2-0 in the fashion that they have. They started out